That sounds like we are here to talk about the major move in the NFL today. Welcome into Stack in the Box. My name is Mark Carman. We've got
That
Pascal
sounds
and
like
Deontay, and we've
we are
got
here to
the
talk about the
craziness of
major move
Carson
in the
Wentz
NFL.
landing in
Welcome into
Washington.
Stack in the
Are
Box.
either of you happy? By the way, thanks for
We've got
joining us.
Pascal and
Anybody celebrating today?
No, for me, Tay.
Yeah, no.
But we are celebrating being on the show, so thank you for having us.
Right.
Well, it is our pleasure to have you on. And when we scheduled this about a week ago, we absolutely knew that today was the day that Carson Wentz was going to find his new home. For those who are a little bit behind on the news, the Indianapolis Colts are getting the Washington Commanders' third-round picks, 2022 this year, 2023, and the 23 third-rounder can become a second-round pick if Wentz plays 70% of Washington's snaps. I think we can maybe even start there in a second. They also swapped second-round picks in 2022. Colts moving up from 47 to 42. So, I mean, really just getting into the weeds here on the details of this trade. It's been out there for a while, and I don't. Whoever wants to take this, but that they were searching far and wide for a quarterback in Washington. How do you think it came to be that they landed on Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. When you look at Washington, it's very unfortunate, but it's very true that they are not a team that is ever at the top of a player's list when that player is deciding, a star player like a Russell Wilson, like a Deshaun Watson, although he hasn't been traded, like an Aaron Rodgers when he was trying to decide, like a Matthew Stafford last year. We can get players who don't have a decision when it's just about the deal. So you end up with Carson Wentz because you say, hey, we don't want to just roll with a rookie. We want someone who we think can get us to 9 or 10 wins, but we can't get someone who can really make us a contender. Thus, you end up in the middle, lukewarm, Carson Wentz, in my opinion. Tay, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, same. I believe the same. Last year we missed out on Matt Stafford. This year we missed out on Russell Wilson, and it's for the sole fact that they don't want to be in Washington. And it's a hard destination to attract people. I don't know why. I feel like we're a big market, nation's capital. When you see with RG3, he was, leading in jersey sales when he was in Washington at the most important position. So I think it came down to draft. Were they enticed with anybody, taking anybody at 11 or moving up and mortgaging that future? Or do you sit back and take a veteran? I think as a Washington fan, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're talking 9 to 10 wins. I think he's a stopgap at most, but I don't think. We couldn't have gotten any better. Obviously, Watson, he's not going to waive his no trade clause to go to come to us. We believe, and the competition is just going to be too tough.
So that's an interesting name, by the way. I was wondering if Deshaun Watson said yes and was willing to go to Washington, would Commanders, I want to talk about the Commanders in a second or two, though, would Commanders fans welcome, in your mind, would he be welcome with open arms with everything that's going on off the field there?
That's a fair question. It'd be split at best. I think that the fans would be split because of the organization's past. I think that from a media perspective, it would be just crushed. Whereas if we went to the Bucks, or the Seahawks, I think it wouldn't be viewed the same way. But from a fan base perspective, I think it'd be split. Some fans would be crying in the streets, having parades, and some fans would be saying, I can't stand for this.
And then of course you start winning football games, and then everybody gets on board because that is the football world that we're living in.
Exactly.
So here, my quarterback crush, and admittedly, it's because I sat with him at the Super Bowl a couple of years back on Media Row, and he was just that cool. But I do think that Gardner Minshew does not get anywhere close to the respect that he deserves. I mean, his numbers in Jacksonville are incredibly solid. Everywhere he's gone, he's performed, not elite level, but like he's put up decent numbers. He doesn't look the part, doesn't throw a huge ball, and he's not super fast, but he's a quality quarterback. And I look at it from a Denver standpoint, like you're paying that much for Russell when you maybe could have just taken a spin here. And I do almost wonder the same thing with Washington, not the same price tag, but would it just have been a better play? I mean, would you be more excited with Minshew today than Carson Wentz? What do you think, Tay?
No, not at all. Like if you would have asked me last year in the offseason, I would have been 100% on the Minshew train as I was vouching for him last year. I think with what we have with the offense that Scott Turner has here in Washington, it's more downfield throws, more big playability. I think Carson Wentz deep ball is very good, and I think with what they want to do, hitting the verticals and that Air Coryell offense, I think Wentz fits better than a Minshew.
That scares me too, by the way. That sounds a whole lot like Chicago. Like Matt Nagy wants to jam Mitchell Trubisky into his system. Like forget about a job, at least in my mind, the job of a good head coach and or offensive coordinator or coach, period. You take the talent that you have and you win with it. Let's go look at Baltimore. Hey, last pick in the first round. How do we play with this guy? Well, we're going to play this way, and we're going to be right there. I mean, I don't see enough of that.
Yeah, I agree. You don't see a lot of it, and when it happens, you see that it works, but still, there's too much pride, too much ego, and too much doing it the way it's been done for that to really become mainstream and around the league.
What happens to Taylor Heinicke?
I think he's your backup. I think he's still under contract. Yeah, I think he's your backup. And look, I think he's going to play some games this year too. Just looking at Carson Wentz history in terms of injuries, but he's your backup, and I think, he's your backup where he belongs, like Tae said.
So you don't think that Ron Rivera and company are sleeping on any long-term, this guy's going to bust out and be a major, I don't know, top, let's call it even 24 quarterback in the NFL?
For Taylor Heinicke?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that they really respect him, and I think that they like him in a pinch. But I think they know what he is. I think they knew what he was before, too. He just ended up having to play. So I think they just kind of got stuck with him. No, I don't think they're holding out false hope. I hope not.
Do you agree with that comment from our guy Rambling with Rio that, okay, fine, he's not a world beater, but this is the best since Kirk walking out the door?
Yeah, my man Rio, love him to death. Yeah, I do think so. I think this is the best we've had since Kirk left. I really do.
And I agree, but my question is, what does that really mean? Because when you look at who we've had since Kirk left, most of them aren't on NFL teams anymore. So, yes, but what does that actually mean in terms of winning games?
What are you guys hoping for in the draft after, I guess, you've solved your quarterback issue?
I want Tae, you can go. I don't know.
Obviously, if Wilson is there, I think you take Willis. Sorry, if Willis is there, I think you have to take him. Outside of that, I believe you go best receiver possible, and you try to build the best options, the best core that Wentz has had since. I mean, he came into the NFL. I think you go receiver Olave or someone like that.
Yeah, because I've been, both me and Tae, I've been banking hard for just getting a quarterback, so it's supposedly a weak class, but we'll just cross our fingers, hope for the best, because at the end of the day, no one really knows anything. But now, the fact that you traded what you traded for Wentz and that he's accounting for what he's accounting for against the cap, I think you kind of can't draft a quarterback because you're saying, we want you to succeed now, but we're also not going to give you the tools because we want to prepare for someone in the future. I kind of feel like Tae said, I mean, I would love to have Malik Willis, but I think you have to add a core around Wentz because the one positive is that he can be cut after this year with no dead cap. So we're basically saying we're going to get you the best receiver we can. We're going to add more O-line talent. We're going to add more defensive talent, linebacker in the second round maybe, and just try to make the playoffs this year and then revisit this whole Carson Wentz thing after the season. So I think they end up going BPA, which I think will be wide receiver.
So the Tae and Todd Washington Football Podcast, do you guys do trivia on there ever?
No, not yet. We're gonna have our wives on for trivia night soon, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a smart play, but I want to throw a little trivia question at just a little nugget in one of the pieces that I saw today. Okay. How many starting quarterbacks has the Washington football team, now Washington Commanders, had since you last won the Super Bowl in '91?
Okay, I know it's 11 in the last 4 years, I think. I know it's over 20. So since 91, I'm going to say 30.
You're right there. I'm giving a hint. Tae, but you left it open.
33.
We're gonna give you the win because even though you went over, this was Price is Right. You'd be out, but it's 32.
Oh, I was about to say that.
Okay.
So
Man.
and listen, I'm sitting here in Chicago, so I feel your quarterback pain.
Okay.
How do you boil down why it's been such a problem? That it, I know that's a tough question, but go ahead.
No, I mean, I guess I'll say half, and I'll let you try to say the other half. It starts with with Dan Snyder and the instability that comes from that in terms of head coaches, because you don't have stability at head coach, you don't have stability at coordinators, you don't have stability in the front office, so you don't have a stable group making these decisions. So then when the decisions are made, it doesn't come from stability. The RG3 and the Dwayne Haskins picks were not made from stability. Jason Campbell had 3 offensive coordinators, and Patrick Ramsey was so long ago. I mean, so it's because of this instability at the top leads to instability at the next level, which leads to more instability, which leads to the decisions that are being made from an unstable position. So they have no chance of succeeding, in my opinion. Same even for Alex Smith. Jay Gruden didn't want Alex Smith. So this is the most stable that the decision has been made, I'll say, in terms of Carson Wentz. The head coach wanted him, but in my opinion, it comes from instability. I don't know what you think, Tae.
Yeah, and I think it comes from being bad, being middling, instead of just being
yes,
bad.
Not getting that first round, first overall pick in a year where there is a first overall quarterback.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, from my watching your team paying RG. We don't need to go all the way down this road, but I'm doing it anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
Watching RG3 when he had it going was phenomenal.
It was.
And then it was obvious the dude is hurt. Think long term.
Right.
Don't throw him out there when he can't move. You're
Right.
gonna do huge damage to this guy, and they just did.
Right.
Short-sighted all day long.
Yeah, and I think if you ask Mike Shanahan, I don't know if it's true or not, but he'll say he didn't want RG3. He wanted Tannehill or whatever. So again, it was short-sighted decision making and a front office and an ownership and a head coach that weren't in sync, and then you end up with the best rookie season from a quarterback ever, and immediately a huge fallout.
Right. It's just honestly, that's just depressing. How do y'all feel about how is for those of us on a little bit on the outsider, how's the Commanders being received? What do we think of the name choice?
Go ahead, Tae.
Initially we wanted the Wolves. When the way they debauched, they just butchered everything as far as leaking certain things. We thought it was okay. It's not going to be Commanders. It's the signs are pointing to Commanders. So they're not that dumb to have the show on an evening show the symbol of what the name's going to be. Lo and behold, it was. You had helicopters going out the night before the name reveal and them having the glass open of the Commanders. Yeah. So it kind of ruined that aspect of it. We wanted Wolves, but I'm starting to come around to the Commanders name, and I love the whole jerseys. Man, I love the jerseys. The jerseys are just awesome. The helmets are awesome. And the W, I like how they're marketing the W. Although Commanders was not my favorite name, I'm starting to warm up to it and just say, hey, the Redskins are in the past. Washington football team's in the past. I like the concept, so let's do it.
Yeah, and it can be kind of tough to gauge because fans are so emotionally hurt. So they say they hate it, and then obviously that can change. Overall, it's been negative. The Washington Post did a survey that actually turned out a little better than I thought. 30-some% said they liked it or didn't hate it. I think the branding is really is good, is top notch. I think the jerseys, the helmets are top notch. I think the name is right in the middle. I think it's not the worst name in the league. It's not the Chargers or the Browns, but those are obviously historical names. That's why they're fine. But I think 10, 15 years from now, Commanders will fit right in with the rest of the NFL, and that'll be what it is.
Yeah, it's even just in this conversation, it's just sinking. Thumbs up, Commanders. let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Is Terry McLaurin, is he happy today? If you had to guess, oh sweet, we've got Carson Wentz.
Man, that's a good question. I'll say yes. He knows he'll get the ball down the field. He knows that, I guess. Yeah, he knows there's at least a decision, a stability for this year at least. I would say yes.
Yeah, the last quarterback we've had, he needed a battery pack to throw the ball downfield because his arm just could not get downfield with Taylor Heinicke. I mean, he was just so limited with the deep shots. I mean, you had to get past the 40 for him to throw a deep ball. And so now with Wentz, I think this opens up the field a lot more for like a De'Ami Brown and like a Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
What gives you your most optimistic take for 2022 when you look around the division? Or I don't know, like apparently the Giants are hot and bothered to go get Mitchell Trubisky, which is I'm sure that's not making you guys nervous there. Who knows? Maybe Mitch has something in him. I'm not,
Maybe.
I doubt it, but I suppose it's possible. But like if you look at like bright spots from last year that that could elevate in 2022.
Yeah, that's a solid question. One of the first bright spot is all the quarterbacks that were not playing this year. Because last year we played Dak twice, Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, Allen, and so on. So that's the first bright spot. But in terms of the team, Terry McLaurin's been consistent. The offensive line was much improved or much better than we anticipated, even while dealing with injuries. The defense, they kind of found their rhythm the second half, and it won't show because of how bad they were in the first, but they found their rhythm in the second half. And then just the division continues to be weak. So you kind of always have a chance, especially considering, Russell Wilson just went to the AFC. And so the NFC as a whole is, quarterback light. So that would be the main positive takeaway is kind of the outside things with a few pieces on the team that you can bank on.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback after that. We have a lot of young talent with Gibson, with McLaurin, with Curtis Samuel,
right.
And the defensive line and the young talent we have on the team as a whole. And we can get out of this contract in end of this year. So if it goes bad, I mean, we'll be in quarterback hell again. But with the QB class coming out next year, maybe you can mortgage some future and get the guy that you really want.
Ron Rivera has control of this team?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Full control.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a huge Rivera fan. All right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up then back with the move of the day. Carson Wentz landing in Washington. If you had to grade the trade on day one, March 9th, Todd, you look like you're thinking about it. What do you got?
Yeah, it's not a passing grade because of what they gave up to take on the cap. If it was 2 4s and the cap, or 2 3s and half the cap, but 2 3s and the cap, I am gonna go with I'll give him a D+. I'll give the plus for good measure, but I'm gonna go with the D+.
I'm gonna go with a C for compensation wise. We're losing a third this year, and then on top of that, we're moving back a couple of spots in the second, and then the cap hit of $28 million. The plus is like I mentioned before, we were able to get out of it next year. No guarantees after 2022, but I would give it a C+. I think you upgraded at the quarterback position, but it keeps us in that same spot of middling. Yep. It's nothing it's not a franchise guy. It's just a guy that's going to keep you level, and that's what we're tired of. That that.
It's quarterback hell, and it's going on across the league.
Yeah.
But even if you look at Denver going to get Russ, like you just paid so much for an aging guy who's, and you could say you're out of quarterback hell, but are you? And or how long are you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
But I get not jumping up and down because you got Carson Wentz for a couple of third round picks. That's not going to do it for anyone.
Not scaring anybody,
Yeah, that's not going to do it. So for our Stacking the Box fans who are looking for more Washington Commanders content, tell us about Tae and Todd and what you guys do.
Yep. So we provide what we think is unbiased analysis. We try to stay level. Fans, can go so high or so low, and we try to stay right in the middle. To just try to stay sane. And then also we do film breakdown stuff on YouTube and other types of videos, highlight videos, film breakdown. And so coming soon, we'll be looking at Carson Wentz and look at what happened and what went wrong and what his potential really is. So on YouTube, we'll see a lot more film breakdown and in-depth look into players and whatnot.
Love it.
Yeah.
And it's been, how long you guys been doing it now? 2 years? Is that right?
2 years. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Keep it rolling.
Loving it. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Keep it rolling. Guys, I appreciate it. Carson Wentz is a Commander. We'll do this again once the season gets going, and we'll see how it's all shaking out. But appreciate the time today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Our pleasure. All right, Stacking the Box, wrapping it up here. Everybody have a great NFL offseason. Free agency Monday. We're going to be live at 11 o'clock for a good period of time, seeing what's happening. So we'll say goodbye today, but then thanks to Deontay, thanks to Pascal. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.